All set, Diane.
Okay, thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Tonight we are doing the Facilities Committee meeting. It's Wednesday, August 25th. The time is now 6:03. And with us this evening, we have Colin Hostin, Board of Ed Chair. We have Suzanne Koroshet, Board of Ed Member. We also have William Hodel, Jim Giuliano from Facilities. And I'd like to introduce Sandra Theos. She has been appointed Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations. And I am going to give her a few minutes to introduce herself and say something.
Thank you, Diana, and good evening, board members and the members of the community that are watching us at home, and my colleagues that have joined us. Oh, and good, Sherelle Harris is signing on, which will be nice to see Sherelle or to hear her voice. Again, like Diana said, I have been recently appointed Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations for Norwalk Public Schools, and I'm very honored for this new role. I have been in Norwalk. This is going to be approaching my 10th year. So I have been a teacher in Norwalk, an assistant principal in Norwalk, a principal in Norwalk. I'm a parent in Norwalk. So I have worn many different hats, and I am now honored to be serving on your senior leadership team. I will also say that in my work, I have really leveraged my relationship with the city, working with Alan Lowe. And of course, Jim Giuliano is always by his side, and rely heavily on Bill Hodel and the other members of my team to make sure that we are doing what we need to ensure safe and environments that are conducive to learning for all our students. One of the first things we did is start an interdisciplinary team to be able to consult with us on several projects. And we have utilized them quite a bit so that we have more voices than just the voices that are representative in the business and operations office. And so by bringing in members of the curriculum department and other departments, we really can make sure that we are meeting the needs of the students that are currently in our schools, but then also be future ready for how we need to be planning our facilities projects. And we have several goals in mind. One of them actually was shared during last night's board meeting, which is to share with the board a 3 to 5 year facilities plan that we are doing in consult with our finance office, because we can't do anything without our chief financial officer signing off that that is something that is going to be feasible, and in partnership with our human resource office to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our staff and our students. So I'm really excited about this work. Yesterday, we went a little bit into the indoor air quality work, which we will soon be embarking on. So there's a lot to do, but I have a great team, and I rely heavily also on the board to provide me feedback and making sure that we are heading in the right direction. So thank you.
Well, thank you and welcome aboard. And we look forward to this year and everything that's coming up. This evening, we will hear lots of updates of what's been going on during the summer. It's been a very busy summer. No one takes a break over at a central office. So thank you for everybody. So first thing is minutes. And I forgot, Sherelle Harris has joined us. Hi, Sherelle. Sherelle, you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had it on mute. Hello,
Nope,
hello.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
Well, thank you, Sherelle, for joining us this evening. Have everyone had a chance to read the minutes and review minutes? Yes. Okay, any changes or updates on those minutes from the last meeting? No changes? Okay.
None for me.
So everybody, let's vote on the minutes, and If you can raise your hand, and Sherelle, if you don't have any changes, if you can say aye, please.
Actually, I didn't have a chance to look at the minutes, so I'm probably going to abstain for now, unless
Okay.
we can table them. If you want to table them to the next meeting, I promise to read them.
Okay, if everybody wants to table them, I'm fine with that too, so that Sherelle has a chance to read those. Everybody good with that?
No objections.
No objections.
Okay, so we'll table the minutes to next meeting. We, Roland, unless you have any other public comments, I have one that I'm going to read. I have Diane Lauricella, and she emailed her public comment. And it says, Ms. Carpio, Board of Ed members, Sandra Fayos, and Bill Hodel. As you prepare for a new school year, know that I appreciate all the work you are doing to make this year a success. I asked the following questions related to the school construction update. 1, has the district spoken to the Northeast Energy Project for free advice about creating net zero energy schools whenever possible? They have a toolkit for free advice that I sent to this committee and Ms. Carpio. If we have not, why not? 2nd, solar and other renewables. I am still concerned that the district has not optimized the use of renewables such as ground-mounted or carport solar as means of reducing electricity costs and fossil fuel use. Why not? And 3rd, what renewable energy design is planned for Cranberry, Norwalk High, and the 2 South Norwalk schools in early stages of design? Thank you, Diane, for your public comments, and we will discuss that and get back to you. Our next item on the agenda is actually, we're going to start with the updates, and I am going to toss that over to Bill Hodel.
Okay, well, thank you and good evening all. What I'd like to talk about is what facilities has been doing this summer. Jim Giuliano will follow me, and he will talk about larger capital projects such as the Jefferson project that's currently under construction. I have 2 pages here. I'll try to be brief, and I'll try to just highlight the projects that are meaningful. So to start off with, and this is this is not in any form or order. At Brookside, Nathan Hale, and West Rocks, we upgraded the BMS. What does that mean? That's the computer that operates the HVAC system. So now we have more functionality to operate the systems remotely as well as at the school. At Silvermine, we did a very large project, and that is on the agenda tonight also, and that is we replaced all of the vinyl asbestos floor tile in the entire school and replaced it with vinyl composite tile. So that was a job that took quite a while, and whatever we had removed, we had replaced with VCT. That job is completed. All the floors are waxed, furniture is in the rooms, and teachers are starting to unpack. We know tomorrow's a big day. So I'm proud to report that Silvermine is complete, and it was a major undertaking. At Rowayton, B-wing roof, which faces the rear parking lot, that has not been replaced since 1970. So that had quite a few leaks over the years. So we are 95% complete with that roof. They will be finished on Friday. At Brookside, we converted a 3rd class into the Montessori model. We're very proud we did that with in-house forces. And if you hadn't had a chance or maybe over the school year, you should take a look at it. It looks really nice. Narragansett, Jim is going to talk about, as is Jefferson. At Silvermine, well, we started the process to develop plans for the new drive, and we had a presentation. to review the various options. What we'd like to do is have a stronger presentation, perhaps with this board, to show you what we are proposing for the enhancements to the parking lot at Silvermine, and agree on the final plan, and then go out to bid this fall so we can begin that program next summer. So next summer, we expect that Silvermine will be closed again for the summer to get this work done. Norwalk High School, or shall I say P-Tech, we are currently in the process of converting the former auto shop to take on the expansion for P-Tech. In addition, 2 other classrooms have been created from office space. Those 2 will be delivered actually this Friday. The remaining 2 will take a little longer, but they're making do for the time being. So what this brings P-Tech is more of an enhancement to that high school, so they can take on the added occupancy and the additional teachers they've hired. At Rhoton, we took 1 classroom, and due to increased occupancy, we divided that classroom in half. This is the 3rd year we've done that in the lower level. That room is complete now, already laid out. It's the former art room, so that will take on additional occupancy as well. And we also added air conditioning to that room. At Tracy, there was a 1 room where the VAT, the vinyl asbestos tile, was coming loose to the point where it had to be replaced. So we did an abatement to room 214. That is also complete, and that is all ready for the teacher to begin instruction on Monday. Just going that. Tracy, we replaced the carpet in the main office, and we also enhanced the PA system. At Brian McMahon, Suzanne, you'd be proud to see the library. We replaced that heavily stained carpet with LVT, luxury vinyl tile. It's called planking. It's the same material we placed in CGS conference room a couple of years ago. It looks so nice. You have to see it.
Well, and since it's named after me, I especially like that, so thank you.
Oh, there you go. At West Rocks, we also replaced the carpet in the main lobby. At Merrimack, we did that also. At Fox Run, we added a public address system in the hallway. Believe it or not, all these years they never had one. We're also painting the hallways there. Nathan Hale, we painted the entire school. Major undertaking. The guys are complete. That is all the hallways, all the classrooms, all the office spaces. We enhanced the entrance, so we use a different tone, so when you come in, it's more welcoming. But we're very proud that we're able to get that done. In addition, we moved the former SPED space, recreated that into the art room. SPED moved into the culinary classroom, and all of the appliances and millwork has been replaced. And that also was done with in-house forces. It really looks nice that they can use a nice, vibrant new classroom with all new appliances. Hey, I think that's about it for now. I'll turn it over to Jim for some larger capital project updates. Sarah,
Actually, just before Jim moves on, let's pause. But I do want to report that we have picked up all the storage containers that were put out because of having to do the distancing of 6 feet last year. So because of that, we had a lot of furniture moved out. That was a major undertaking in terms of having to move all the furniture back in, discarding items that the schools no longer thought were usable, and maybe even auctioning some. So we have to plan a couple of auctions per board policy. And those storage containers have been removed from our campus so that we can actually reclaim that outdoor space once again. And now I'll pause and allow the board members to ask Bill any questions on his portion of the report.
My question, I know that we'll speak about it more in detail later, but is there going to be more than one plan on the Silvermine driveway?
Good question. We have about 3 plans, and they've been constantly changing. One of the 3 is probably the most reasonable, but that's going to be by unanimous vote. So the answer is yes, but whatever plan we do agree on certainly has to meet the needs of the comings and goings on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you. Any other board member have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a
I
question.
have a question, Diana. Oh, go ahead, Suzanne.
No, go ahead, Sherelle. I can go next.
Okay. So my question is if there was anything done over the summer to Columbus Magnet, if Mr. T requested like any painting or any upgrades, and of course, what's going on as far as the 2 schools in South Norwalk.
Well, I can speak to renovations. We actually did. Thank you for raising that. We modified his existing library, removed some bookshelves, repaired the carpet, and painted the walls and whatnot. I cannot comment on the future work. I do not have that plan.
Are you speaking of the 2 schools?
Yes.
And I could touch
Diana,
upon
can
that.
we add that? I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
I could touch upon that briefly at the end of the presentation, right before we adjourn, Sherelle, if you'd like. I could give you a very brief update. It's not very eventful, but I can at least tell you where we're at the cabinet level.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
So clearly everyone was really busy this summer. You got a lot of really important and good things done. Was there anything that wasn't finished, Bill, because you just ran out of days, time, money, labor, that you wished had been finished and is going into the school year?
Well, I wish I had finished PTech, but we have a workaround. We were able to free up 2 classrooms for a short period of time. Other than that, we were able to meet our goal in all the projects. I also want to mention, I guess it's so commonplace to me that I took it for granted. Let's not forget all the work the custodians are doing to prepare for next Monday. I can tell you, as I sit here, every classroom has been completed. 95% of the hallways are done. The only reason the remaining portions are not done is because there's a lot of movement of furniture and desks and whatnot. So the custodians worked, they normally work very hard. This year they worked even harder. As Sandra mentioned, it was a major undertaking to empty up to 4 containers in each school. So yes, I'm very proud of the work that they have been able to deliver.
Good. Thank you.
A quick question, Bill. You mentioned there were a couple instances where we did some work to increase the capacity of classrooms. You mentioned Rowayton School and with another one.
I'm sorry, it was Rowayton.
Rowayton, okay.
Middle School and PTech at Norwalk High School.
I'm just curious, were those completely unexpected enrollment changes, or did we have an idea from the enrollment study that we did last year?
Well, we had some idea of the enrollment changes for PTech. And then when we were working with both school principals and the programming, and really what ends up being complicated with scheduling, and I'm sure Suzanne can attest to this, is that you may need spaces, and it doesn't necessarily, the formula is not always that there's going to be 22 kids per space, because you may have a class that only has 4 kids, but you still need to program for that. So even though the enrollment may have been anticipated, it's not until you start to get into the nitty-gritty of actually scheduling to see who needs space that you end up realizing that you might need some spaces that you hadn't anticipated. And so then what we thought would be prudent is to actually just try to carve out additional space within that PTech floor. And and then giving them a lot more footprint on that same level and not disturb what had already been established necessarily at Norwalk High. I don't want to say not disturb because it has a negative connotation. I think both principals were really collaborative and wanted to work with one another. But we thought that this would be just a better long-term solution until we get our new high school, because we do anticipate that this is going to be not something that's just going to be resolved this year.
Got it.
And the one at Roten, he did add some programming, and because of that programming, we ended up giving him the additional space that he needed. I think he added a Spanish class, so that Spanish class booted out somebody else, that booted out somebody else. And so then sometimes the enrollment is not necessarily the predictor, but what you're willing to and what you want to offer may sometimes have a domino effect.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Piggybacking on what Colin had asked, Sandra, if you can discuss the shortage of staffing, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with the projects that were not done over the summer. I mean, you guys have done incredibly well with what the staff that you did have.
And Diana, to be quite honest with you, what we're also facing is shortage of supplies. So there's shortage of supplies that we are encountering just like when you need them, you know, so that's how you know you don't have something. It's when you need it. And so the projects over at the PTech to convert that carport or the garage into classrooms, what we're missing is the ductwork to be able to actually provide the appropriate ventilation. And Bill, you can chime in, okay? Because you know the jargon better than I do. But we just couldn't get the supplies that we needed in enough time. So even though we might be able to redirect staff sometimes, that sometimes can happen, we couldn't get the actual supplies that we need. And I know that we're encountering that in a few different places.
Yes, supply chains due to COVID have certainly been paused for some time. Jim will talk about it, at how it impacted the Narrowneck kitchen installation. But it has affected me, it has affected everybody. And it actually continues to affect us in the construction industry.
Now, this does not mean that we don't have a need for additional staffing. So I don't want to say that, but I also don't want to say something that is not particularly what was the only thing that happened at PTech. Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we okay to move on to Jim?
I think so.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So I'll give an update as to, I'll start off with the two projects that are currently under construction. Jefferson Elementary School, as you are aware, we are doing a new gymnasium addition on the back of the school, and the walls, masonry walls, are now being constructed at that new gymnasium addition, as well as we're also doing an addition underneath the existing building where we used to have the drop-off. That's being infilled, as they say, with additional classrooms. The foundation walls are in progress in that lower level addition. We had some abatement that we had to do on the second and third floor. We finished the abatement on the third floor, and the moving down to the second floor now. Site work is continuing in the back of the building where the new bus loop is, and main entrance, or new bus loop, is going to be, with a secondary entrance for those riding the bus. And slab demolition and underground plumbing is in progress on the first floor at Jefferson. The next project that's currently under construction is Narrowneck Elementary School, and that is a kitchen addition, cafeteria, creating the cafeteria and a media center. Currently, we're doing some structural steel modifications inside the existing building. We're going to be complete with that this week. That modification was required due to the new HVAC units didn't quite fit within the existing structure, unfortunately. So we had to do some modifications, and that will be done this week. HVAC units for the media center will be installed this week. The media center finishes will follow after the unit is hung, and then we anticipate to be ready to open the media center for the week of September 13th. When that opens up, we're going to be working on the structural steel for the new kitchen addition, as well as doing the exterior framing and roofing. And then site work is continuing to progress over at Merrimack with the new access road, as well as some walkways and drainage. Cranberry is the design team is going to be meeting with the school staff this Friday morning to provide the teachers there with an overview of where we are with the design. We did meet with the state earlier this summer as a state requirement to review what they call the design development documents. The state approved us to move on to the construction document phase, and the construction documents are scheduled to be complete in November, late November. And we are currently going through zoning board of appeals for a variance regarding the rear setback of the building. Right now, the project is on schedule and on budget. With regards, the other project that is in design is Norwalk High School. I know Sandra talked about the interdisciplinary team earlier, and that has been extremely helpful to the progress of programming and design of Norwalk High School. So really thankful, the design team and the city is thankful for Sandra for creating that team to work with us and get through a lot of questions that the design team had in regards to the educational purpose of some of the spaces and how the team can work with the space that we have, and also work with, within an existing building while we're trying to build a new building on the same site. So we meet, I believe, once a week or every other week. I can't even remember now. But they are very helpful, and it has given us a boost to move the design along. The design is coming along quite nicely. It's a big building, and it's going to take quite a bit of time to finalize a lot of the spaces. So we are working diligently on that. We have the construction manager working with us to review how the phasing is going to go, to try to mitigate as much disruption to the students over the 4 years that construction is going to be in progress. So we have a good team working on it, an experienced team that has done this numerous times before. So we're excited about where we are and how things look right now. In relation to the new South Norwalk School, myself and Alan Lowe had worked with an architectural firm to look at the possibility of siting 2 schools on the same site, in South Norwalk. We went through that process this past summer. We've come up with a conceptual design. It's not a design that by any means it's the final design. It is just a test fit for a site. And we did a professional cost estimate. It's nice to know that we are within budget for what we're looking for. So that has moved along, that far. And that's really all I can say about it at this point. So if there are any questions, I can answer those now.
Thank you so much for this update, Jim. It's really great to see all these projects moving along. And we talked about this last time too, when you mentioned projects staying within budget. One of the things that Bill mentioned earlier is that all kinds of construction have been affected by supply chain disruptions in the construction arena. So I'm just wondering, at what point do we need to or expect to, if needed, have revised estimates for any of these projects? Especially since some of these budgets were approved a decade ago.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Right now, Jefferson is moving along. We had a very favorable trade bids on that project. So, we're locked into that. Obviously, it being a renovation project, there are opportunities for change orders, but we're not seeing, that right now. We did go through one, change order when we first started with the site. There were some unforeseens, which is not unusual. You can't see, what's underground. However, I think we're through the majority of it, and we're moving along. So I'm confident in Jefferson's budget. Cranberry's budget, we do a budget, an estimate at the completion of every design phase. And when we did the design development estimate, we're still within budget, and we're confident that that should hold when we go out to bid in early spring of 22. Norwalk High School is a little bit further out, and with the volatility of the economy, it's difficult to say, but we're gonna hopefully hold to that budget and see how things go. But right now, we as long as we stay within our square foot area relative to the budget, I think we should be okay. But again, we just have to see how the overall economy reacts and moves forward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so any other questions? Can't see Sherelle, but I'm going to assume she doesn't have any questions. She's still muted. But I, for one, am very thankful for all the work that's been done through the summer and all the updates for this evening. And I'm actually looking forward, and maybe Sandra, we can take a walk and you can show me all the updates and all the projects that still need to be done. So that would be a good thing, because with COVID, we haven't been able to really step into the schools, and hopefully we'll be able to take a look with Sandra or together and separately. But yes, looking forward to that. Hi, Sherelle, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was muted.
No, that's
Sandra,
okay.
did you have anything to add? I know you said you had some things that you might add about.
No, Jim Giuliano actually captured where we're at in terms of the project. The only thing that I think that you may want to understand is that whatever decisions we make about both of those schools are also dependent upon decisions that we make about magnet schools, magnet status. Once the Jefferson, the lower Conus campus, Jefferson moves into Jefferson, that magnet will affect enrollment. It will affect where people are. So there's a lot of moving parts right now, all at the same time. And so we actually at this in cabinet have been talking about what are we anticipating because of the magnet schools, and what are we anticipating will happen in terms of our children in South Norwalk, and where our families may decide to go. So it's more than
So
just.
Sandra, let me just ask you if that, so I just have to cut to the chase. And I'm hoping that I'm not hearing that there may not be a school in South Norwalk.
No, that's not that. And I apologize if I'm giving you any angst. No, it really is just that we are looking at a more comprehensive plan around all the options that are being offered to our families, and this is one of them. But no, there hasn't been any talks of not moving forward.
Because the last that I knew was that they were looking towards securing property. Is that no longer the case?
That's where we left it last. So we have not had
And
enough.
there's no
That's why
movement?
Jim. Tell me again, Sherelle.
So there's
Sherelle.
no update as far as the what?
No, we haven't had any conversations yet because of everybody either being on vacation or things, were not available. But we are expected to have an updated meeting with the city also. So it has not been taken off the table. I know that they are still discussing options, and we will have an update on that.
Okay, because what I want to avoid is politicizing this whole ordeal. Actually, I don't want to say it's an ordeal, but it can be an ordeal if it becomes politicized, and that we keep kicking the can down the road. So I'd rather people be upfront with what's going on and what the decisions are, and not keep pushing this down the road.
Okay.
If I'm understanding the update from Jim tonight, there has been movement since the last discussion. They hired an architect who did conceptual designs for the joint campus. So that's certainly some forward movement that we can take some hope from.
Right. The most important thing, it has not been tabled.
Kicking the can down the road is a polite way of tabling things. I'm just saying.
I know. You too.
If we want to keep it real, I'm just saying. But okay, so we can have this conversation later, Diana.
Okay, sounds good, Sherelle. Any other questions? All righty then. So it looks like we are up to the last item on our agenda, which is the approval to close out Silvermine Elementary School asbestos flooring removal and replacement states project. Am I correct? Are we voting on that?
Yes, if I may, just as I noted before, the job is 100% complete, and the reason you need to provide some action on this particular item is so we can go to the state and get our reimbursement of roughly 32%. So that's why the notes have to read that the facility committee and the board have approved this to be closed out.
Yeah, I just remember it does have to go to the full board.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so if we can show a vote to move this to the whole board, we're going to move the approval to close out Silvermine Elementary School asbestos flooring removal and replacement state project to the full board. Those in favor, raise your hand, or Sherelle, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's a unanimous vote to move to the full board. And I want to say thank you to everybody for everything that we've discussed this evening. It was very full of a lot of information and very knowledgeable. And I'm looking forward to a new year. And now we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Well, thank you, everybody, and I hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you for everything.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good evening.